fine.
I'm fine.
You look like you're dying.
Yeah. I played way too many video games today.
Yeah.
I woke up at like 7, and I played till I came over, basically.
I think you don't answer me anymore, and you answer Nick, and it hurts my feelings.
It just depends. Well, Nick texted me 4 times in a row, then I texted 1 time back. So it's not you.
Oh, he makes it seem like you guys are like this.
If you want something, just call me.
Oh, see, like Nick called me today, and I just declined it. And I was like, I'll text him back.
I don't like texting.
I don't like calling.
I like calling.
No. I don't want to talk to
I
you.
guess I won't talk to you.
All right. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Press X Podcast, episode 116, your weekly podcast for gaming news and opinions, coming at you each and every Monday at noon Eastern. I can't get out of the groove of saying that. It just comes out naturally. I'm Kevin McManus. With me, Todd Broussard, Nick Hassell.
Hey, I'm here.
No Kellen. He did the one-hit wonder. He showed back up, and he's gone again. We probably won't see him for another month, but that's okay.
I missed him.
That is true. You were not here. I don't know what you were doing.
I don't know.
Probably
at a party or
that,
something, were you?
Probably
Something
playing
like
that game.
I really don't remember.
Yeah, let's just hop into what we've been playing. That's going to be, I imagine, the bulk of this episode because news-wise, it's pretty light. Not too much going on this week, so we can talk a little more at length about games that we've played. Todd, I'm going to start with you. Yeah.
I picked up Vermintide 2, Warhammer Vermintide 2. Played about 14 or 15 hours into it, and I'm having a blast with this game. Me and Nick played a little bit of it.
Yeah, we played a couple hours, something like that, before you went to the movies.
This game is a freaking blast. Nick's already explained it quite a bit, but it's like everything I love about Left 4 Dead, and they fixed all the problems with it, and it's in like a sweet universe now.
Yeah, it's like what, medieval or yeah.
And it's like fantasy medieval time.
I don't know. I watched a little bit of it. I was like, I wouldn't like that game.
It is really sweet.
Horde modes just bore me. If I could remove every monster closet part from even games I really like Uncharted, if I could just make the 100 enemies that charge you 10, I would much rather play that game.
Yeah.
That sounds way better to me. Because the combat and stuff isn't why I play those things. There's some games that
it's
I play
actually
for the
super
combat.
strategic. Like there's a dodge
like Final
mechanic.
Fantasies, I do.
There's like a dodge mechanic and a block mechanic, and like the 4 classes your team plays really matters.
Mm-hmm.
You need like a support class and like a ranged class, and it's really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of planning and kind of creative thinking, I guess, that goes along with the game. So
like micro mechanics in the game. So it's fun. It's really cool. There's a sweet like crafting mechanic, and the gear system feels really rewarding. The level system is really sweet.
It's like a Monster Hunter. Like not how the game plays, but like the systems, like the crafting and stuff.
Similar, but I mean, you're not kind of doing it on the fly, and there's not like a hub world. It's just you do a mission, you finish, and you get loot, but there's no loot boxes or anything like that. You just get rewarded for how your team did, and you can make your weapons better or craft stronger stuff.
Like
or
while you're going through the game, you can find different items like in each map, and they'll basically increase like your reward at the end. But they make the game harder as you collect them. It's really cool. And there's like little mini boss fights, and some levels have like big boss fights, and they're pretty challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 4 different difficulties you can play on. And you have to be like a certain gear level to go to the next one.
Yeah, the enemies are a lot better than just bullet sponges. I mean, there are a couple that are like that, but some you have to hit in strategic places. Some you have to get kind of crafty with. So it's nice to mix that up.
It's very cool. There's like a skill tree for each like job. So there's like 5 classes.
Yeah.
And 3 jobs for each. And there's a different skill tree for each of those jobs. So.
But yeah,
pretty in-depth game.
It's got kind of like a MMO feel in the fact that everyone's got like a role. So like you need a tank, you need a pseudo healer. The class I play as the mage, and basically when there's like you said, the 100-man rush at you, I can like stagger everyone, so the damage dealing guy can deal with them all, and the tank can run in there.
Me, baby.
And sort of like a debilitating sort of thing. So, I mean, it's kind of the same ideas as like an MMO, like a mini raid sort of thing. So it feels sort of like a dungeon crawler. Sort of like Diablo, I guess, is a good kind of comparison.
I was looking like Dragon's Crown or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
that too. So it's a lot more RPG than just the standard like Left 4 Dead kind of copycat or anything like that.
Does it have like a matchmaking system?
It does.
Yeah, it's a really good matchmaking because like it won't ever
find like class, like other people's classes.
It won't ever match you, or I haven't seen it at least. It won't ever match you with like the same person or class or role or something like that.
You
So
can only
you'll
have one of each basically race like in the same
You'll
party.
pretty consistently get like an even team as far as like roles and stuff like that.
That's
so
cool.
it's actually really good, and it's really fast too. I
It
mean,
is.
I've queued up with Todd, and I've queued up by myself, and it's like no more than 10 seconds, and it's like boom, ready to go. So
Sweet. And there's actually like a pretty cohesive, like good storyline, which I wasn't expecting with a game like this. But
I think it helps that it's like already thrown into Warhammer, so they have their own
it's a
little
gigantic
like
game, yeah.
universe going.
Right.
So
But I'm excited to see what else they do with it. They've been really good about like just patching and kind of listening to the community about different things in the game so far. So they've been really cool about that. Also been playing some more Injustice.
Yep.
Been enjoying that. The big like thing right now is everyone in the NRS like world, NetherRealm Studios is talking about MK11. So that's like all I've been hearing about when I watch like Injustice streams. Is all those streamers are talking about MK11, and they just dropped a huge like patch for Injustice, where all your characters can go to level 30. They added new like gear sets for everybody.
Okay, yeah.
And they came out with the Legendary Edition. But it's like a week delayed for PC, but it's already out on Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And the community's like been in uproar about it because I guess it came out and there were a few like glitches with it. So certain people, when it came out, they lost stuff that they already had, like shaders for their characters and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes the Legendary Editions are like different games.
Right.
than the other ones.
Right. So some people have been kind of upset about that.
I was worried about that when I got Resident Evil 7 Gold.
Yeah.
And I had Resident Evil 7, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do the DLC. And then I was like, ooh, I might have to beat the game again.
Yeah.
And then
But even if you
imported all my saves and stuff.
Even if you don't get the Legendary Edition, it's still a patch for the game. So kind of like Arcade Edition with Street Fighter. It's
Yeah.
just they're just patching most of the stuff in. So that's cool. Been playing some MKX.
Mhm.
I picked it up for like $10 on Steam. I think it's still super cheap, and
Yeah, you can find it cheap.
unlocked all the characters and stuff for that. I never really got a chance to play this game. It's got a really cool list of characters. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the mechanics in it. It's got like a weird sprinting mechanic in it, where you can like actually like there's like a stamina bar every character has, which is weird, and you can actually like run across the screen, which I thought was really weird. So I don't know if I'd love what they did with this game.
But they got cool guest characters.
They do have a lot of... The cast is awesome, and the actual like combos and stuff are really fun to do. The maps are cool. I played through a little bit of the story. It was cool. You pick like a faction, so it's cool. If you like Mortal Kombat, I definitely recommend it. It's fun. And it kind of makes me excited for MK11.
I've never cared about I play Mortal Kombats because
Yeah.
they're stupid, like whatever.
Yeah.
But I've never been like, ooh, let's play Mortal Kombat. Like that's never been a game that I've had any interest in, like
I've never had a problem with it.
learning and being like good.
I like
at,
the
you
old
know.
ones. I think like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Those are the ones
Trilogy.
that
2
were
and
fun.
3.
Yeah.
Trilogy,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the one I liked. But
The one that I think the only one that I've like played a lot is Cody had, which my brother had 9. And that was cool. It had like Freddy as a guest character. That was like the big thing I
Had
remember
Scarlet.
from that game. Mm-hmm. That's fun, but I think that's like that everyone regards as the better one.
that was like a relaunch of the series because
Yeah.
they went real downhill for
Yeah, they
like
did.
7 games.
That's Yeah,
That was pretty bad.
as what happened with a lot of fighting games at that time. So
Sure. Yeah. They couldn't figure it out on like PlayStation 3 and stuff.
yeah,
It didn't really
but yeah, I've
work
been playing
for
those games, and I think I'm gonna pick up Siege probably
Oh
this
no.
next week.
Oh no.
So I'm excited to start playing that.
Oh god. All right.
Speaking of Siege, played more this week.
Shocking.
Like I said last week, finally got into PvP. Stopped killing innocent AI, I guess, and moved on to the big bad boys.
Innocent terrorist.
Yeah. Been winning a lot, but I've been playing with a group, so it kind of makes sense. We're all communicating. We're all, and like we were saying about Vermintide, there's roles and specific things. Like you need guys who can breach walls, and you need guys who can blow up traps and detect them and stuff like that. So,
You still playing like the healing chick?
yeah. One of the operators that got released with the most recent patch, she's the one. I mentioned it before. She gives you like a quick adrenaline boost, so
Yeah.
you get like hyper focus and health boost and stuff like that. It's real busted for a game like this. Like, just The fact that it's one of those games where you don't get like Fortnite where you can heal up or something like each chip of damage actually matters as you're fighting this 5v5 stuff. So when you just get 20 free health and you can do that 3 times a match or a round, then I don't know, pretty busted. But enjoying it, winning more, and I like it. I'm finally starting to get the hang of like I'm good at 1v1 fights, but I still don't know like, oh, this corner, this guy can see me here, and it's really important to each round to know where all the cameras are at, because it'll just pop up on your screen and say you've been spotted, and instantly you're just like, what do I do? Sort of like when you shoot people really far away in Fortnite or PUBG and they freak out because they don't know like where they're at.
I like all the Fortnite things. You're bringing it down to my level. Thank you.
But yeah, like you freak out. You're like, I don't know what's going on. Who sees me, sort of thing. It could be a little droid thing on the ground. It could be a camera. It could be like any sorts of things. So it's really cool because it makes you think a lot more than just like footsteps and seeing people. Like there's just so much more to worry about. So it's just fun to keep doing that. Also played Vermintide. Not much to add to what Todd said, other than I'm winning a lot more, or like successfully completing levels a lot more than I did in the beta. When I talked about it before, when I was playing just the closed beta, I was like, man, I just can't beat a level. But now I'm not really having that problem. So I guess people are either much better than they were in the beta, or I don't know, maybe it got a little bit easier. Also played Sea of Thieves. I did not play with a full group of people, so that might hinder my opinion on it somehow. I'm not a big fan of this game. Kind of feel like
it doesn't seem like a lot of people.
Kind of feels like Microsoft owes me one now. I'm sure it's one of those where it'll be fine by the fall. They'll patch some stuff. They'll keep adding, taking, whatever. So I'll monitor it as it goes along, and I'm still going to try and play with a full crew, just because the co-op makes it better, sort of thing. But co-op with people I guess should be the phrase I use. But it's fine. The visuals are great on it, but it's one of those, I think I compared it to like fine dining. Like it's all about visuals and like presentation, and then like no meat whatsoever. So it's one of those, you just kind of have to make something out of it, sort of thing. I had the problem with Borderlands as well. When it was just me playing, it was boring, but when I played with other people, it was like the best game ever. I match made in this game by myself, and it just wasn't that great. Even with people, it was cool. I like the fact that I have to set the sails down. I have to steer. I have to have someone reading the map telling me where to go. Raising and lowering the anchor. The guy driving the ship the first time I jumped in hit a wall, and me and the other guy, like one guy had a bucket, and he was throwing water out that was leaking into the ship while I was like nailing wood up against the side of the wall. So it's cool.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It's like a Minecraft sort of thing where I feel like you really have to like try to have fun with it. It just like doesn't naturally happen. You just have to be like, oh, let's do this wild and kooky thing, and
it feels
fun.
like one for the kiddos.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, and like streamers too. If you can, I don't know.
It doesn't feel like we're really the audience for that one.
Yeah, so it's not anywhere like a couch co-op sort of thing. It just feels kind of stale. I mean, even the music too is just kind of not there. I think more music was played by my guy playing his accordion while I was sailing, sort of thing. So I don't know. It's fine. It's like a 5 out of 10 if I was into numbering, like rankings or something like that. It's just kind of there. I hope Microsoft wasn't banking on this one this year. So aside from that, got Gintama Rumble. This game is it's another one of those combine a popular franchise and the Dynasty Warriors sort of game, and that's this one. It's one of my favorite anime, if not my favorite one, and it's just kind of cool to see the story being played through that. Same idea as the Fire Emblems and the Zelda versions of these. It's just, see something from a cool new angle, and hear the popular voice actors and stuff like that coming through. And
they're never bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're getting, at least as far as when you jump into these games. And
so you imported this one.
I did.
Where from?
PlayAsia.
Where, like, what territory is that?
This one I believe is Chinese with.
Does it have the English?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got English subs. Yeah. I know like region locks and stuff like that get kind of tricky
usually
with some
like
of these.
Hong Kong gets English subs in their things, but other places don't. I don't know.
Yeah, and this one it came out in January this year, so it's still new. But I ordered it. I want to say end of February, so it took about a month or half a month to show up. So I was kind of also in the back of my mind saying, okay, how long is it going to take Persona 3 and Persona 5 dancing? Because I got it from the same site. I don't know if they do any sort of like release days sort of strats or anything like that on there. But that was also kind of in the back of my mind, like, hey, when can I expect this to show up? Because I believe those dancing games are end of May.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that or early May, one or the other.
So probably be June. But that was just something interesting for me to look at. But the big one of the week is Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, if that matters, subtitles. Art style, like I am a sucker for anything Studio Ghibli or close to it, and that's exactly what this is. I like the first one, and as far as visuals go and stuff like that, definitely like this one because it's 4K HDR, 60 frames a second, all that fun stuff. So it looks good, plays well, and it's real smooth. Game is like super endearing and like cute. It's actually kind of nice to go from stuff like Vermintide, where I'm like ripping people apart and guts and getting vomited on and whatever else, to like something that's just like for the kids, like you mentioned. It's nice, it's sweet, and all that stuff. So it's nice to have. It's one of those like feel good games, I guess. So, like everything's warm and fuzzy.
That's how I thought the first one was, and then I got to the story. I'm like, well, this is just the most depressing game I've ever played in my life. Cool.
Some plot lines already just kind of work themselves out in a very, I won't say convenient as in like annoying, but just like, this is the way like sort of like a fairy tale story would sort of go. So just kind of makes sense. And like I said, it's a nice break from super action heavy like gore to something a little just more mainstay, I guess. Happy about the combat. It feels like the backbone of this game, whereas the first game it felt like an annoyance for the most part. It reminds me a lot of Tales of Berseria from last year. You have when in the main zones you get to walk around, you get to initiate fights whenever you want to. When you're going between areas, there's like I guess basically just an open world, and that's when you go into like chibi form, and that's when you run around and enemies, if you're in their line of sight, they'll come running at you and initiate a fight. It'll go to a fight screen, finish, and then instantly go back to open world and run around again.
Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of that.
It's not.
I don't really like that. The cut to stuff is like in most games, I don't like that. But I especially don't like when the art style changes when it cuts too. That drives me crazy.
I don't think it's too bad in this one. I think it's kind of, like I said, just like everything else, it's real cute. And I don't know. I love how you can craft your characters and weapons and like your team structure and stuff like that. So far, I've got like 4 or 5 people with me, and I'm sure I'll get more as per usual with these types of games. You can set, like, you can really break down how you want to play this game. If you want more XP and loot to come your way when you kill stuff, if you want to have certain resistances or do more damage to certain types of people, like, you get choices. So it's cool to craft the game that way. If you're just like a money hog and you want to buy everything, then you can just set all the scales to just reward you with money instead of the other stuff. Also like the soundtrack. It's already got me thinking like end of the year, like, oh man, this one's definitely going to be on there for sure as far as contenders. And the dialogue too. Really like the dialogue. I've got it playing in Japanese, but with English subtitles, of course. But it has a weird mix of line dialogue and actual like spoken dialogue. But it's a lot closer to 50-50 than most games. Like, most games just have like they say a line and then it's just text. Yeah,
they have like a voice clip.
Yeah, and this one, it doesn't go into like cutscene and then like you play and then there's just the line dialogue. Like, cutscenes will just jump in and out, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so
I heard
like
there wasn't a lot of cutscenes in this, especially compared to the first one, which had these like
not total like
long anime scenes.
Not like runtime, but yeah, like you'll be in the middle of action and like a cutscene will happen, like in the middle of a fight or something like that, and then it'll go back. So it's more cinematic, but yeah, I think total runtime of cutscenes would probably be down some. Oh yeah, also I would say people out there who are kind of on the fence or looking for that one thing to play before God of War comes out, I guess is the big game coming out next if you're not getting Far Cry. Don't sleep on this game, obviously, because it would feel bad to sleep on a video game. But also, I think this one might be sort of like a dark horse sort of thing for a lot of people. So
Interesting.
if you are interested at all in the art style and just, like I said, just kind of a sweet little innocent sort of game compared to God of War, where you're going to be ripping people's heads off, and Vermintide and whatever else. It's kind of like its own little niche type of game, but I think they did a lot of things better than the first game. I think it's like a high 80s or something on Metacritic, so people seem to like it. So, and I think it's not too long of a game where these people like, oh, Witcher's 200 hours. Like, this one's pretty affordable time-wise. I think it's somewhere in the 40s, something like that for most people. So I think that's doable, like I said, until God of War comes out. So,
which is also in the 40s.
Yep.
Did you have something else you were going to say? You sounded real excited at one point in the middle of talking.
Yeah. I saw this on Vermintide today. We were talking about streamers playing Sea of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
On Vermintide, they have an option if you're streaming Twitch where you can make the stream interactable. With your streamers.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that in a lot of video games.
I think it's cool.
There's a bunch of them.
There's a few.
Basically, the Twitch chat can just really screw you over.
Yeah, like Tomb Raider and stuff.
Right.
That you can. Which is a weird game to do it in, but in Tomb Raider they can spawn enemies on you and stuff.
Right,
like that.
and then I had another thing.
In Dead Nation, they can turn up the bot difficulty on you while you're playing. I think it's Dead Nation that does that.
That's neat. But I think it's a really cool feature in a lot of games, and they did a cool job in this game of that. And then another thing, I saw the PC Gamer released cells for this game. I don't remember exactly what they are, but the big thing about it was it's already outsold Vermintide 1 in the 2 weeks it's been out. So really good success.
Word of mouth is a huge selling aspect, I think, nowadays, and obviously that's why Twitch streamers get free stuff and whatever. Why they target them with beta, certain beta invites and things like that, just because, vice versa too. If something like your facial animations are bad in the game, they can go downhill fast. So word of mouth is a big thing nowadays.
It's just cool to see the game doing well.
There's definitely games I bought because of streamers. Like Friday the 13th was a big one. I was going to hold out on that game, and I just saw too many people having way too much fun. I was like, I want to have too much fun. I'm going to get this game. For me, I'll start with my Fortnite. I got my 100th win. I said I was going to get 100 wins and retire.
That didn't happen.
I have over 100 wins now, so that didn't happen. They added a blitz mode to the game, which is actually a neat mode where basically before you drop it already shows you the circle, and the storm is already half in. And as soon as the last person lands, the storm just starts coming in, and it's all the times for the storm are half or more, so it's just moving faster. And to compensate for that, chests are normally you have a 50-50 odds of them spawning, basically. They're 90% in this, so there's more loot everywhere because you don't have a lot of time to loot because you're constantly moving. It solves the problem that a lot of people have of camping. They're like, oh, people just build a tower and camp in it, and then they move right outside the storm and build a tower and camp in it, and you can't do that in this mode. It does cause not some problems, but when you're playing it after playing the normal one, it will confuse you. You'll die to the storm a couple times because you're just not used to the storm just coming in on you randomly and stuff like that. But it is definitely... It's probably their best of these specialty modes, and I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes a permanent mode once they tweak it a little bit more. They also added things you get resources 3 times faster so that you don't, spend too much time mining trees or something because you don't have time to do that. But they didn't counteract it by giving you more ammo. So a little bit of the problem is people get a lot of material early on because it's so easy to get material. Then you get into a firefight, but your gun only has 30 bullets, so you can't shoot through their walls that they're constantly building. And then the storm comes in, and you haven't looted because you've been fighting this guy who's just been building, and then you both die to the storm. And you're like, that wasn't very good. So they need to do something about that. But
I don't know if I watched you play that one game, and you were I saw you kill 3 people at the end of the game, and then the one dude camping won because the storm killed you after you
he had 11 kills, to be fair. But yes, the storm wipes out probably 40 people in the game mode. A lot of people die to the storm because it moves really fast. But it's cool. My favorite part about it, and the part I wish they'd adapt into the normal game, is the final circle. Instead of making a smaller circle and closing, smaller circle, closing, smaller circle, closing, it just closes on you. And I think that's a neat, interesting idea, and it's hard to get into the mindset, but when you notice that it's the final circle, you need to get to the middle of that circle and build your base there, because everybody's going to be coming into the middle, and I'm still not used to that. I'm still like on the edge of it, and then it starts closing. I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to die. But they add some things to make it easier. They add more launch pads and a lot of extra health items and stuff to let you get around.
I wish they made like sprinting and stuff way faster, so like Unreal sort of speed.
When they announced Blitz mode, they didn't
Yeah.
say what it was. I thought it was just going to be the game running at 300%, like just a faster version of the
Yeah.
game. I was like, that'd be sweet, but no, it's this, and I think this is cool. The normal game is like 24 minutes, and this is 15, so it's a pretty significantly faster game mode. But yeah, enjoying that. They launched their mobile game. People have been enjoying that. You can do the cross-play stuff, which puts you in the PC servers, and then you just get destroyed. I've watched some people play the mobile stuff. It's funny because people build like 3 ramps, and they're like, "I'm done building. Let's just shoot at each other." They did a couple cool things with it, where sound is kind of an issue on your phone because they don't have great speakers. So there's little like sound wave things that come off whenever things are emitting noise, so that you can find them. I like some stuff like that. They've definitely taken some smart ideas. But I think this is very much like, you can do your dailies when you're not home. Like that's what it seems like to me.
I've just seen a bunch of teachers complaining about these mobile versions of games. Like, I guess kids playing it in class.
That makes sense. And then finally they added a heavy shotgun to the game, which I haven't been too impressed with damage-wise or anything. Like, when they announced it, I was like, oh no, because shotguns are my least favorite part of that game.
Yeah.
But it's been
I feel like it kind of brought back the
double pump thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that with the heavy shotgun, but at least they're golden, so you're not going to get it every game. Like, the pump shotguns were common, so people just always found them. So if it becomes a problem, I'm sure they'll do something about it, because
It looks like a problem. you just get one shot. It's like boom, boom,
yeah,
gone.
it's something. But me personally using it, and I haven't used it that much, I prefer the pump gun over.
Yeah,
it.
I watched you use it once, and you shot a guy in the legs and killed him. So
I shot him 3 times.
Pretty
before
sweet
that,
gun.
Anyway, I also beat Devil May Cry. Last week I was talking about how I wish it had an auto fire and stuff, and modernized it a little bit. I turned on the game after the next day, and it was like, hey, you've unlocked auto fire. I was like, oh, okay.
All you got to do is complain.
Yeah, so that is in the game. They did at least do a little bit of tweaking. So you can hold it. So the problem I have with it is it's an easy mode. So certain enemies don't appear, which I noticed because I played through normal, or not through normal, but I play a level in normal, and then I play it in easy, and then normal and easy, and like compare it. And there's certain enemies that just don't show up. But it lets you auto combo, which is fine. It lets you auto shoot, which is great. That absolutely should be in it. But my problem with it is it also gives you extra health and devil triggers or devil gauges or whatever they're called, and that I don't like, because I think then that does turn it into very easy. Like, we skipped easy mode. We went into very easy mode very quickly.
I would just wait till 2.
Yeah, I haven't started 2 yet. But anyway, I finished the game. I really enjoyed it. I thought it held up fairly well for it just basically being a straight port with,
new paint job, basically.
Yeah. They updated the textures, but like some of the textures and like especially some effects, like smoke and things, look real rough. Especially playing them on a PS4, and you're playing it on a PS4, and you're like, man, this looks terrible. But like I said, it's an old game, and it plays like an old game, which I'm used to playing, and it still held up really well, and I had no nostalgic connection to it. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. My only like real complaint is they do the thing in that a lot of old games did. Kingdom Hearts did it. Crash Bandicoot did it, where like the final fights, for some reason they changed the control scheme, and like they make it into this weird like chase thing. Like on Crash Bandicoot, you're like in a jetpack, and you're like chasing after Cortex, and the controls are all different, and you got to like learn them for the final fight of the game. I'm like, I don't want to do this, and this had a little bit of that. So. But like I said, yeah, I really enjoyed it. That game would be incredibly hard. There's 2 modes more difficult.
Yeah.
I would actually probably go back and watch a gameplay video of people playing like that, because that game, I can't imagine some of the bosses that I fought on like the hardest mode. That'd be crazy.
I'm sure there's cheese tactics and stuff like that.
I'm
to
sure,
get past them,
but still, I'm sure there's people who've done it without them.
There, I'll say wait till 3 if you want a challenge.
Yeah, well, we'll check out 2 sometime this week and see how I feel.
Godspeed.
And then we'll jump into 3. And then finally, we played some A Way Out. I was supposed to play this entire game by now, but I got stood up by my niece. She was like, yeah, I'll play that game with you. You got an extra copy? Yeah, let's play it. And then she just disappeared the day we were supposed to play it.
She found a way out.
And then she didn't answer me until we already started the game. I was like, oh, it's too late now. But we played it for a little while, and
a chapter or two, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the idea of this game. I think it works really well. It seems like they like to really focus on one character while the other character kind of is doing little helpful side stuff for that person, and then maybe in the next chapter the other person's doing something more interesting. And
you hope so, because I've been in the limelight so far.
Yeah, you've definitely done more early on for sure. But yeah, I think this game idea is really cool. It's done by the team that did Brothers, which is a game that I really love. But yeah, just the entire game split screen. You can play online. You can you get 2 copies when you buy it, so you can play with a friend. I'd say it's not really 2 copies. You get a copy that can only be used as a player 2, as far as I understand. But you can just play it split screen normal. The thing that I was most worried about was frame rate. I thought that it was going to have some frame rate problems, and we haven't really run into anything that was that. There's a little bit of like confusion with like, what am I supposed to do next at some points? We'd walk around a little bit and be like, where are we? What's the the thing we're supposed to open?
Yeah, and this game, this is one of those games too where like the characters tell you what they're supposed to do. Like, oh man, I need a pipe to throw in this fan to slow it down. Like they say it out loud, and you go, oh, I guess I got to go find the pipe. But when they don't do that, and you're supposed to guess, like it's like microscopic little arrows that kind of point you.
Yeah, you're playing with half a screen.
You have to be within like 5 to 10 feet of the thing that it wants to call your attention to as well. So I don't know. There's some design thing. I mean, I get that it's more cinematic, and you don't want much of a HUD there, but maybe there should have been a button that you can hold down and it's just like, here's where to go.
Like a Dead Spacey thing,
yeah.
But I really like the way that it's done. I like how the more important scenes will like stretch, and that person will have more of the screen, and then it'll shrink in the other person's
conversations too. Like if you're actually having when I'm talking to the guy, but you're just dicking around with someone else, like your conversation's real quiet or almost muted in some cases, and my guy's like shouting and whatever going on. So
yeah. It's cool. I mean, it's a $30 game. You can get it for like $20 from your Best Buys or your Amazon thing, and you get an extra copy to play with somebody online. Like, seems totally worth it. And the creator is very passionate about it.
Support this man.
But I'm having fun with it.
I want to see him at the next VGAs. So.
But I'll definitely have it beaten by next week, and I can let you know, because I've heard it like just goes like it gets better and better and better and better. There's no like dips as it keeps going. So very excited for that. All right, let's hop into the little bit of news that we have, and then we're going to talk about some video game controllers later on. But first, PUBG Mobile has kind of stealth launched. They were like, oh yeah, Fortnite Mobile, F you. Here's PUBG Mobile. And they did the Fortnite thing where they're like, it's on Android and iPhone, and Fortnite's only launched in beta on iPhone. Which is weird, because that was how Fortnite kind of did the gotcha on PUBG earlier, where they're like, we're on PlayStation.
They've been holding a grudge.
It's kind of strange. But anyway, all this launched, people, saying it runs better than the Xbox version, which it certainly looks like it does.
That's not a like high hill to
I'm just
climb.
saying, it looks like it does for sure. I haven't played it personally, but lots of posts. Chicken dinner, first round, second place, first round, third place, my first ever game. I don't understand the complaint. Anyway, all this started coming out, and 2 or 3 days later, they came out and they're like, yeah, you play against bots. They're like, you play, when you play on the mobile version, your first game is just against bots to kind of get you, into the controls and how you play. And then every round after that, they introduce more and more real players into the game. So all these people were like cheering and stuff about getting their chicken dinners. And
That's awesome.
They were just playing against like idiot bots, but that was pretty funny. So this is a really smart thing for PUBG. I know it's like the most downloaded thing this month and all that stuff. They pulled a real fast one on Fortnite's mobile thing. So
got them.
Good job on them. I'm interested to see this back and forth keep going. This is fun. Do we have any interest in PUBG Mobile, Fortnite Mobile anything?
Not one bit.
I'm getting tired of the YouTube ads for this Fortnite.
Oh my gosh!
Or the
PUBG
mobile,
one. Every video I click is just PUBG YouTube, like use that money to fix the Xbox version of the game.
It's awful,
goddammit.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
all
guys
over
need
the
ad
place.
blocker.
Hey man, don't tell them that. Next up, Atari has officially announced the Atari VCS. So this is their new video game console that they said they were
Video
going to
console
be.
system.
They're going to be the fourth console on the market. We got Nintendo, we got our Sony, we got our Microsoft, and now we got our Atari coming back from the dead. This seems like a digital only. I'm not sure, but it seems like a digital only box. It looks awesome. I love the look of the thing.
I don't.
And it comes with a Xbox 360-esque looking controller.
Yeah.
And then it also comes with a joystick with a button, just like the old Atari 2600. I'm sure that's going to get a lot of use, and people are gonna love that. We don't know what kind of games are going to be on this thing. They talked about it being reinventions of old games, and they talked about new games coming to it and more
Pong
modern
remastered.
games. I honestly think we will get Pong remastered.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it'll be
built
on it.
into
Especially with the joystick.
built into the console. So I just have a couple of little notes about it. It's apparently going to cost around $250.
Yep.
So that is the price of a Wii basically at launch. Like that's a pretty heavy investment. So this better do some stuff. Next up, it'll be like a good laptop. That is the quote that I got for how powerful this is going to be.
All right. So it's up there with the Switch.
A good laptop, guys. It will do 4K video.
A really good laptop, then.
So streaming some 4K, I imagine, would
That's
be
cool.
my assumption. It will use an AMD chipset. I don't know what that means, but it's going to use it.
Do you know what a chipset is?
Poker.
Okay, moving on.
It will run on Linux. So this is a Ouya.
What
Cool.
the fuck?
And I don't think that there's any sort of CD slot or DVD slot or Blu-ray slot or anything like that.
Well, if it's going to be digital, then it'd be unnecessary.
Yeah, well, that's just my assumption. I just don't see one on there. But yeah, so
Maybe there are all these things. If it's doing 4K, like you would hope that it's got a disk drive and it could maybe display 4K, but maybe that's asking too much.
Yeah, so I think this thing looks awesome. Do I want it? No. Do I know what it is? No. Do I already have a million consoles and don't need another one? Yes. So I don't know what they need to do to sell it to me, and being like, we've remastered every Atari game and they're free is not going to do it for
And they're all
me.
in 4K.
Like, I don't know what this console can do that could make me really want it.
I don't know why anyone would want to jump into the ring right now. PS4 is still pretty hot, and Nintendo Switch is hot. And, I mean, maybe you can help take down Microsoft, but you're still in a very distant third.
If you do that,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, I mean, they're going to be in the most distant fourth. Like,
Yeah.
I have no clue what who
Like,
this
are
is
they
for.
gonna have
Now,
a-
I see a lot of people being like, I don't know why this exists, blah, blah, blah. I'm waiting to find out what's cool. Like, they have to have had a reason to make a console, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't get this.
They
right now.
wouldn't just do that, right?
I don't think
This,
so.
if they did, it would be like a 100% nostalgia grab, and
It's
I don't know.
$250. I don't know.
Yeah.
So am I going to pre-order one? No. But am I going to keep my eye on it? Yeah. Because I actually think this thing looks cool. Its controller seems fun. Like, a lot of it seems legit. I'm just curious about what you're going to play on it that you can't play on other things, because the reason you get a PlayStation is their exclusives. They put out an awesome trailer recently where it's like, Ni no Kuni and Gran Turismo and God of War and Infamous, and they show all their exclusives
trailer was really good.
that they've had.
Yeah.
And then you look at something like Xbox, which is doing worse, and arguably people say that the thing that they're doing the worst on is their exclusive lineup, and the fact that they put them on PC as well.
Yeah.
But like, their exclusive lineup is where they seem to be struggling.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Switch, which has only been out a year and has a lot of really good exclusives already. So I feel like it is cemented. You need good exclusives to push your console. Where are they, Atari? What are they going to be? Do you have all these companies making games for you? Like, what's happening? So we'll just have to wait and find out, I guess. Next up, Nintendo dropped some news that there was going to be a new Direct. This was an incredibly short Direct. I literally went to get food, came home, and it was over. And I was like, I missed the whole thing. I just wanted to eat a snack while I was watching it.
Yep.
But this was an indie Direct. I had a bold prediction that they were going to announce some Shovel Knight stuff, and then Shovel Knight was going to come to Smash during this. That didn't happen.
Not at all.
Yeah, this was an incredibly small, short, condensed direct. So some of the games that were announced, we had Fantasy Strike, which was a fighting game that had a bunch of different, almost gimmicks to each character. It seemed cool.
It looked interesting.
Fighting games are hard to gauge without playing them unless they're from a known series. It's really difficult to look at a new fighting game and be like, oh, okay, I get what's going on. You have no clue unless you're actually playing it. Watching it doesn't help.
With the current lineup of games, Soul Calibur 6 included, since that's kind of on the horizon, this is interesting time to jump into the pit of fighting games. We're kind of in a golden age.
Soul Calibur is not going to be on Switch.
Sure.
Tekken's not on Switch. Street Fighter is, I guess.
Yeah, I know it needs one.
This is a console. I think it is a console first. It's coming to Switch first type thing. So that's what they're pushing. I actually really liked this because I like the idea of the gimmicks for each character. There's a time character that I was like, oh, I would definitely play as that character and see kind of what gimmicks he has. But there's a paint.
Art style is cool.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
The biggest
I'm
thing,
interested in
the biggest thing for this game
fun.
is price, and I'm hoping since it's in the indie lineup that it's no more than 20 or 30.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it might be quite.
But if it's 60, see you later. Sort of thing.
Type situation.
Definitely doesn't look like a $60 game.
Oh no.
Also, the director is the lead designer of Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix. So
that's a good one to have on your resume.
Yeah. Next, Just Shapes and Beats. This was a game that featured just shapes and some music.
Yeah. Self-explanatory.
Mediocre.
Yeah, I don't. Once again, also with rhythm games, kind of hard to tell what's going on unless you're playing it.
Right. And hearing it too, you couldn't really hear it over. I mean, you could.
They're talking.
Yeah, you could talk, and it's going through a stream. You can't hear the actual rhythm of it. So
yeah, it's a little strange. Next is Garage, which was that top-down horror-looking game. It seems like another
a survival
zombie
sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems like another zombie thing. I'm not too interested in this. Definitely don't want to be playing anything like this on Switch. I'm just
You'd play Ass Ketchum.
Yeah, the main character just has this.
That's
big
not
hat.
my favorite camera style. Is top-down.
Yeah, very few things have done it where Hotline Miami was good.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
The Link to the Past and stuff like that. The Zelda games.
Yeah, those are fun.
All right. We had Pool Panic, which was an Adult Swim game that reminded me a little bit of Golf Story or something, but instead of golf, it was a pool man.
Yeah.
This one was weird. You're clearing stages and objectives by knocking you're the cue ball into different things.
Yeah. So it seemed kind of RPG-ish, but you're a cue ball and you're controlling the cue. Or the pool stick and hitting them into stuff. Yeah, it was kind of strange. Though Adult Swim Games has made actually some pretty good games, so we'll see how that goes. One that I was very excited for, Bomb Chicken, which is a great looking game. It seems like it has a lot of heart. I'm hoping that it can carry it all the way through. What a lot of games like that end up doing, especially from indies, is they don't know how to pace the game correctly.
Sure.
Where you're doing all this cool stuff at first, and then that's it. And that's what you're doing for the rest of the game, and you get kind of bored halfway through.
They build it for a demo.
Yeah, you get bored kind of halfway through. You need to pace out your powers and the puzzles and stuff like that. If this does this well, it looked like a fun game.
That chicken was hilarious.
So I'm definitely interested in Bomb Chicken.
Yeah, that fat chicken was cool. So
the most exciting announcement for me was Lumines Remastered. This was a 2004 game for the PSP, and they made Lumines on the Vita, and I thought it was a little bit strange that this wasn't the Vita version, because in my opinion, the Vita version's better. It's got better visuals. I like the music
it's more
better,
of a sequel.
all that stuff. But then I found out that this is coming to PlayStation 4 and stuff, too. So this is just a remaster in general for everything. It's not like Switch had one thing, and they got this version instead of the other one. Boy, am I excited for this. This is one of my favorite puzzle games.
Lumines is sweet. Yeah.
I like Witness, and I love Catherine and stuff like that. But as far as those one-screen puzzle games, the Puyo Puyo Tetris is actually really high up there, and Lumines for the Vita is really high up there too. So this seems awesome. Very, very happy. And I think it's my only issue is I think it is only 1v1 multiplayer. I don't think it has a 4-player multiplayer.
No kind of party.
Yeah,
That's what's
like
going on.
I hope maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think it's only one.
You would hope the Switch version would have a party system.
Next, we can talk about Lightfall, which was a very pretty kind of side-scrolling platformer where you're creating these cubes and you're jumping and
Looked
doing all of
extremely
these.
fast-paced.
Yes, there is a lot of like auto-scrolling stuff going on where he's moving and the screen's moving, and it seems like you better stay ahead of the edge of the screen or you're gonna fail.
This is like a speedrunner type of game. I think they even talked about in the video that
Yeah,
they
I
had a
think they
system
said
devoted
the
to it.
Switch has a speedrunner mode that's going to be in it, so
You
that's
get
neat.
with people online and stuff.
Like
so
leaderboard
it's fun.
type stuff, and
But
maybe going against their ghost or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my problem, as always, with the Switch, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later, the natural Joy-Con controls don't have a D-pad, and a platformer, I want a D-pad. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
I
want a joystick on the go. That's not
Right.
how I want to play my platformer. So, next up, I know you guys love this one. West of Loathing, which is a slapstick comedy game featuring some stick figures, RPGs. I remember the term. Optional turn-based combat is in this, so that's pretty cool. What do we think about this one?
This game looked like dog shit.
Wow. Strong words. It was whatever. This isn't my type of game. I think they went for like an Underworld sort of approach. Undertale, sorry. Sort of approach.
Underworld.
Yeah, that would be cool. Was a female lead character. Undertale, I think they went for that sort of approach, but like didn't come close
I'm
to
excited
it.
about the 40 unique hats.
Yeah,
50
collectible
50.
Yeah, like this one to me, I did think it was interesting because it was like, I don't know if I've ever seen a game just do the stick figure thing and like be
That's
proud
it.
of it.
Yeah.
Like that's its thing.
We came out with this.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Yeah, but I'm not very excited for that one.
Dog shit.
The next one, I think I don't know how to say it. It's like Pod or Pody or something like that. It was the
Puda.
co-op. It was the co-op one with the penguin that's glowing in the box.
Yeah.
Dog shit.
And they're good friends. It's a co-op puzzle game where you're, I assume, opening doors for each other and getting through the next area.
Sort of like A Way Out, but much worse.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of games like that. Like, there's a couple of them that work for me, but a lot of those games I get bored.
That one,
halfway through
Puda
it.
seems like a very like hand in hand sort of thing. So that
It's definitely
You
like
just, like,
here's
literally
the
walking-
Joy-Con on the Joy, like play with your girlfriend type game. That's what it seemed like to me. Next up, there was Mark of the Ninja Remastered.
hell yeah.
Which was a very popular one. They did a very cool trailer. Got Todd. Todd was like, this game looks terrible. And then the ninja showed up. He's like, oh, sold.
Man loves his ninjas.
I do like a ninja.
So people were really excited about that. Bad North is another one, which is a real-time strategy game. Each army member you lose is gone forever, so it's got that whole permadeath system going on.
It's roguelike.
Yeah. Fine. Banner Saga 3, which is the
Super
big
excited
announcement.
about that. Yeah.
Also, Banner Saga 1 and 2 coming to the Switch. Right at home.
Eventually.
Right at home. No,
And,
they're coming to the Switch soon.
Yeah.
And then Banner Saga 3 is coming summer
Yeah.
this year. So
And that's the one where it's the very Nordic sort of decisions change the outcome.
Yeah.
Basically, like any of the Walking Dead, like Telltale type of games, just not that same sort of system. No real like quick time events, but like a very much choose A or B or C, and that's going to dictate, just chain
Also,
of
it's
events.
cool, like turn-based combat. All the characters in the world, they carry through all three of the games. So
And you
it's a
can
really
lose
cool
them too.
game. Yeah, you can lose characters. They can lose limbs and stuff. It's really interesting.
And then the final one I want to talk about is The Messenger, which is one that I'm actually pretty excited for. This is an 8-bit Ninja Gaiden style game. It's not Ninja Gaiden in level design, but it's definitely Ninja Gaiden in main character and control. But his gimmick is that there's a time traveling mechanic, and when you travel through time, the game becomes a 16-bit game.
And you're like a samurai.
Yeah, it plays a little bit differently, and you can do that to solve puzzles. Changing stuff in the past will affect the future type situation. Seems really cool. They said that there's still a lot to talk about with this game. I'm hoping that you can jump to 64-bit and
That'd be sweet.
have it
All the way up to
That'd be
4K.
cool.
Yeah, I think that would be really neat.
That would be
but-
insane.
Probably the most inappropriately named game, just because you're like the messenger, and it feels like a walking sim or something like that, and you look at it like, oh, I'm a ninja.
It's like a ninja.
Yeah, it's like
but
a side-scrolling ninja game.
Killing monsters, yeah.
They explain that you're carrying a very important document, I guess, so it makes sense when you think about
the game looks really sweet. The music was sweet.
This one was definitely a highlight from the announcements. So that's it for those, or at least the ones that I cared to talk about. Next up, real quick, Velocity 2X has put out a Critical Mass Edition, which has like all the DLC and stuff like that for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation Vita. And the problem is the PlayStation 4 version has a CD, it has a studio booklet, it has a documentary, and the Vita version does not. And they put all of that printed right onto the Vita version of the game. So they made a little bit of a boo-boo there. It's right on the cover of the box. It takes up like half the box. I don't know how this got past their, testing.
Someone was asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, they came out on Twitter and they apologized and all that stuff. So I don't know exactly what they're going to do to make it up to people, but it happened, and it might be actually kind of collectible one day because there's things like, Velocity 2X isn't going to be a huge game, but things
it's
like...
a good game.
There's like Final Fantasy 7, and one of those boxes has a misprint on the back, and those are more sought after than the other one, so it's kind of cool. Next up, God of War PS4 has officially gone gold. This is just exciting because it confirms it's coming. It's absolutely coming.
I like Gone Gold announcements.
Yeah, me too. There's been so much stuff on this game. There's 4 difficulty modes. They put out another trailer. They've shown they've shown uninterrupted gameplay. They let the press play the first 3 hours, and people were saying they were crying, and it's really good, and just an insane game. And then they asked how much of it what they played, and they said it's like 5% of the game. So this is a huge game. This is an emotional game. This is supposed to be a great game. I haven't watched any of it because I don't want to know.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. I'm getting it, so
I'll watch some.
I've read the headlines and I've moved on because I know I'm going to get the game.
Yeah, all I need to know is people like it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I shouldn't cancel my pre-order.
So let's move into some comments and then questions from last week's video. We were talking about Bluepoint and what we thought they were going to remaster. Zach Yoder says, a Mario 64 remake would blow my mind.
Sure.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that.
Cool.
Nintendo doesn't typically outsource their stuff.
Yeah.
Especially like their remasters.
It's a long shot.
Yeah.
They did do the Hyrule Warriors and the Metroid Other M's and the Fire Emblem Warriors and the Mario and Rabbids. So they've done it. It's possible. But it's unlikely.
Yeah, something as big as Mario 64, I think they would want to keep in-house.
They're like, let us do this one. We don't want anybody messing it up. World End says, my best guess for Bluepoint's next project is Demon's Souls.
Of course.
By the way, Sony owns Demon's Souls, so it can't go to other systems. Same with Bloodborne. They own the IP, though I would really want them to do Ico. Yeah, I would really like them to do Ico as well. My only thought with Demon's Souls in particular is, why would they remake this game? This isn't like a remaster, like they did with Dark Souls, and this is what I brought up. Dark Souls they remastered, and it's coming out soon. Dark Souls 2 they remastered already, and then Dark Souls 3 launched on the PS4 and Xbox One, so they didn't need to do that. But I was like, why does Demon's Souls get a remake?
It's old.
When Dark Souls gets these remasters, and he responded, so we'll read that really quick. He says, I think Demon's Souls remake would be legit because Demon's Souls, in a particular way, is a very outdated game. It didn't age well. It's not only old in terms of release date, but visuals and mechanics. It feels like something that might have come out during the PS2 era. So, we'll see. Though, I said it last week, the ESRB did rate Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
So
it's rough. Even if you watch someone stream it, it's still pretty rough.
Yeah.
To look at, but
and then I read that comment and then I actually fell asleep because I was in bed when I read that comment and I had a dream that they remastered Nier, the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360
already.
Nier. Well, they remade that, and I woke up and I was like, oh, that's the one I want. That's the one I want.
That's not gonna blow anyone away though. So
yeah, well,
jeez,
I don't care about it.
See.
Todd doesn't care about most things. But yeah, I think that one would be an awesome remaster, especially with how much of a hit Automata was and how they're talking about doing their next project and everything like that. I think bringing the old one into the light or even the Japanese one, because there was 2 of them, and one was Japan only. Into
I want a Soul Calibur 2 remaster with my Soul Calibur 6 purchase.
They already did Soul Calibur 2 HD.
No, I want a remaster.
Next up, let's do this one. Aquin Artist 3 says, just a suggestion, could you put time marks in your video descriptions? Thank you. I used to do that, and then I started doing the thing where I was putting what topics we talked about, and then I found out you could see like how many people click on some things, and not a lot of people were using them, and they're a lot of work. So I was like, maybe I won't do that. Yes. So I ask, what is the importance of it? Is it because you just wanted to know all the topics that we're talking about on this episode? Is it because you really only care about things that you know about going into? Which I do that for some videos. Like I'll click a video and I'll be like, I only want to hear them talk about, the Crash Bandicoot remaster, and I'll find where that is and I'll just watch that and then I'll bounce. What is the reasoning for doing that? Because if enough people are interested in it, I'll try to work something out.
They just don't want to hear us talk about Rainbow Six Siege anymore.
Yeah, that is
skip right past it.
They're like, scrub, Rainbow Six Siege, Fortnite. Oh my god. Quite possible. But yeah, if enough people want that, maybe we can work something out. And then next up, Zach Yoder says, I have a question for you guys. Controllers are something that have changed a lot since the beginning of video games, but recently there hasn't been a lot of change when it comes to controllers. Do you think we've reached the perfect controller, or is there a new controller that can blow us away? And this was an interesting question because I already was planning to do a topic on controllers, maybe not this week, but I kind of pushed it forward, where I wanted to kind of talk about the main 3 controllers we have right now and which is the best overall controller. So I want to talk about everything about it, not just, the comfort and stuff like that. I want to go over the whole thing. And I feel like we can mix those 2 together and kind of talk about what our favorite controllers are and maybe build our own favorite controller type thing. So I have them behind here, but we have the Switch one, we have the PlayStation 4 one, we have the Xbox One controller, so we can kind of pass those around and discuss that stuff. Obviously, the Elite Xbox One controller, probably the best controller you can get right now.
That one's sweet.
We're not going to be talking about that one because I feel
it
solves a lot of problems.
I was going to preempt the question, like, he said there hasn't been a lot of change, like maybe in the design, like just the aesthetic design, but I feel like there's been a bunch of changes. I mean, especially with like the lights on the back of the controller. I noticed it too with especially Gintama, the game right in front of it, the speaker on here.
God, the speaker's
so
good.
That game makes good use out of it, like the people talking to you are coming through there. Like, I don't know, I think there's been some changes, and especially the Elite controller, that's still
like
a jump ahead.
on the back.
Yeah,
like Conversa. So I don't think we'll ever get standard paddles on the back of a controller. I just think that is too foreign to people.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. There is another one, which is really the Steam controller, which tried to add this like touchpad wheel to it, which when I saw that, as ugly as it looks, I was like, that is a good idea. Yeah. Because that's something that might actually fix that complaint that people have that you can't play, real-time strategy stuff. And then like Sony kind of tried it with their touchpad, but the like calibration stuff's on it weird. It's never accurate enough to do it. And the only games that use it well are like Killzone, where it's just like swipe up, swipe down, swipe left, swipe right, like, and that's it. That's all that they do. But yeah, as far as changes, the controllers are constantly changing. There's a lot of things like the D-pad, for instance. This was Nintendo's, sacred D-pad that nobody else could use. They had a patent on it for like 20 years or something, and no one else was able to use the D-pad. That's why they started doing all these split D-pads and stuff like they looked so different, and it wasn't until I think near the Xbox One era where the patent to have this like connected complete D-pad actually ran out and other people could start using it. So there's also things like that where things are patented, so they can't use the same button layout even though maybe it's superior. Because there's different things like these buttons on the Switch one are like super raised and flat, whereas like the PlayStation ones are flat, but they're like also flat. They are almost, and then those ones look like gumdrops. Like they're all rounded and stuff. And I think a lot of that's just like if somebody else might have done that, they could be like, hey, that's our thing. Like you can't do that. So, but let's go over every aspect of the controllers and kind of talk about things that we like about some and don't like about others, and then kind of pick which one we think is the best one overall, maybe what we could do to improve them. So I'm going to give some compliments to this one first off.
Okay.
The biggest one is the battery life and the charge time on this thing are awesome. This thing lasts for such a long time that the Xbox One controller still uses batteries, which is interesting. You can plug it in wired if you want to, and then it uses it like a wired controller.
I prefer wired.
But it doesn't charge.
Yeah.
It is battery only.
Mine came with the one I bought.
The Elite?
Yeah, it came with
Yeah, that's the Elite.
Okay.
Like the original one takes batteries and everything. So I definitely like this one as far as like battery life and charging. Also, it uses the USB-C charger, which is quite nice because it charges quickly. And also, I can charge my phone with the Switch, so I like that a lot. Something that always bothers me with the controllers, especially the Switch Pro controller, is the resistance of a analog stick. I like them to be really resistant, where it takes a little bit of a push to get it to go where I want. The PlayStation's is like that. You can definitely feel like a resistance with it. And the Xbox has it a little bit, but it's not as much. And the Switches is kind of
the original. I mean, I don't want to jump around two controllers yet. We'll kind of stick on one and go along that route. But the original Xbox, I think, was very rigid, if I can remember correctly. Like, you actually had to put some effort into pushing it. So
and it's all just preference. Like somebody might like a looser one, especially if you have smaller hands or something like that. I love the D-pad on this thing. I've always been against the asymmetrical placement of them. I've always thought that that's weird because my hands aren't asymmetrical, so I want my controls to be symmetrical, just like my hands. But also, I use the D-pad more than I use an analog stick, except for recently with Fortnite, I guess. But usually, I use an analog stick way less than the D-pad, so I prefer it to be the main function of the controller and kind of take up that top left spot for me. And then the buttons on this one, I don't have any real compliments or huge complaints. I do like the size, but whatever. And then my big knock against this thing is these triggers are buttons. These are not triggers.
Yeah.
These are just actual buttons. And I don't know why they did that, because this is the most expensive controller out of all of those, and it's strange to me that they went that route. But and then they also have the kind of gimmicky things, which I've always thought is gimmicky, but I'm starting to like them, at least on the PlayStation, like the capture button being directly on the controller. I'm starting to enjoy that quite a bit. So I don't know.
I've been making good use out of it. My two biggest things about controllers, just in general, are weight and size of it. So I guess dimensions. Yeah. I don't like controllers where it just feels like it's a piece of paper. Sure. I want them to actually have weight.
3 controller, very light.
Yeah, I want them to have actual weight, because I don't know, it helps as far as holding it and stuff like that. But also dimensions. I don't like this one. My hand just swallows it up, and I don't have monstrous hands or anything. The other thing too that kind of gets in the way is face buttons. So the weird thing about the Switch controller, the Pro controller, is that you have the very pronounced face buttons, because a lot of Nintendo games use face buttons.
Yeah, there's a lot of
triggers and shoulder buttons. They don't really make good use out of. Those are more like camera buttons or activate sort of buttons or something like that. And then the other buttons are very shallow, depressed in there. So it's just kind of weird that you go
they're
from
all different,
very tall to very flat, or actually caved in too. So it's kind of weird. I wish it kind of just flowed better. But that being said, this is the only option for me for Switch as far as playing games.
Oh yeah, I didn't bring up the Joy-Cons. I played Splatoon with the Joy-Cons yesterday. I was like, oh god.
And that's even without motion controls aside, the Joy-Cons are just so tiny that, like I said, my hands just swallow them up. And
I do like the buttons on the Joy-Cons though. That little click that they give, that springy.
Sure.
It's a very satisfying feedback with those buttons.
Especially playing Mario Kart. With it, my hands just actually hurt playing that, just because you have to do a weird sort of claw motion.
The Joy-Con thing? Yeah, that was bad. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself.
But yeah, vibration's important too. That's why I feel the weight kind of comes back into play. If it's very lightweight and stuff, it feels like it's about to jump out of your hand, versus that where it feels like a real heavy sort of
motor
shape. So that's kind of my thoughts on it, and that's why. We'll get into rankings and where we would play some sort of thing probably later, but that's why it's kind of middle of the pack for me, which is weird because, like you said, it's the most expensive out of the non-elite
It's that
controllers.
HD Rumble, man. Also, Nintendo can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. What about you, Todd? What are some things?
So some things that I like about this, I really like the handles right here.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're like a good size. Like I feel like the PS4 ones are a little elongated, and it feels really unnatural to hold it. This one's really comfortable to hold. It is a little like for some reason it feels really small when I'm holding it. I feel
You got
like,
big old hands.
Yeah,
though.
I do have really big hands.
Yeah.
I don't like the triggers.
No. The triggers are such a strain. I don't know why they went with that. And they're, I don't know the terms, but it's like analog or whatever, where it's just a button as opposed to actually having a range of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like especially when you get into some of these other ones, like you can hear just like not even this one. This is way less pronounced than like the original Xbox.
This is just a straight trigger.
But you could hear the spring in the original Xbox
I feel like
controller.
there's not a lot of like curvature on these. I don't like anything going on up here.
Just the whole top of the controller.
It's just kind of flat.
Yeah.
No bueno.
I don't like. I feel like it's really chaotic in the middle here. There's 4 buttons. One of them. There's like. I don't know. I feel like there's just too many buttons going on here. I
don't disagree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little chaotic looking. These are like very strange when I press the button. I don't like that it doesn't feel like I'm pressing it.
To me, the biggest problem I have with the Switch controller is that it felt like they looked at both those controllers and went, we can't do the same thing as either of those. What do we need to do? And they just like went a different route. They're like, they have triggers, we'll do buttons. They have these small buttons, we'll make ours big. Like they just did the opposite to do the opposite.
I don't like these buttons at all. I don't like the 4 buttons in the middle. I do like these. I think the analog sticks feel very good.
Yeah, they're good. Not my favorite, but they're good.
I don't like clicking them in. It feels a little.
They don't really
weird.
like go in.
Yeah, they don't really go in. I do like the D-pad a lot. It feels really good.
I end up hitting the wrong,
this
like
one's
when I'm going towards the middle to hit one of those, either pause or take a screenshot or home.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I hit the wrong button a lot of times.
Yeah, it feels a little chaotic there.
I don't do that on most things. The only one I confuse that with is the Xbox one because I don't know what the fuck those things are. I was like that square and a bunch of lines. I don't know what those mean. So I end up hitting one and going, nope, this isn't the right menu. And then I hit the other one. So let's talk about the PS4 one for a little bit. Yeah, so the PlayStation 4 one, a lot of improvements over the PlayStation 3, particularly with the elongation of it. They made it wider. Longer, yeah, so that your fingers aren't as touchy. Because the other one you do kind of engulf a lot.
Yeah.
Which I do like because the GameCube controller is one of my favorite controllers, and that one feels like you are just gonna rip that thing apart. You have such a grip on it. But it's like a perfect size grip for my hand, so I really enjoy it. I like these one. The analog sticks on this one are super resilient, like I was talking about. The touchpad, man, it ended up being really unnecessary, unfortunately. I thought it was a cool idea. It is 2 buttons. At the end of the day, that's what it's become. It is less chaotic than the Switch one, but it ended up being the same thing. This is 2 buttons in 90% of games, or 1 button. It usually opens it up. I love the D-pad on this thing. The separated D-pad is just so easy to not think about. You can clearly feel your finger rolling to the up. You have a definitive up and a definitive right and down and left, which I really like. I like these triggers. They are a little bit slippery. Once in a while, in the heat of the moment, you might slip off and accidentally do something you didn't want to. I've had that happen a lot. I haven't had a problem with it, but this share button has been pressed by accident by so many people.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but man, Todd's pressed it at least 40 times.
I got a lot of problems with this controller.
Todd presses that share button all the time, and he also presses this middle button a lot. Like you talked about the speaker, really nice. The fact that there's a headphone jack is awesome. I don't know what this port is, but it's on there too.
The games that make use out of that speaker are few and far between, but I love it for game because I'm more of the RPG type where if they want to read the codex to me, or like the game I mentioned where like there's people saying, hey, watch behind you sort of thing, like it's coming through the speaker. I don't know. It's just kind of cool.
That speaker is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
We've got a USB charging thing. Problem with this one, God, the battery life on this controller is awful.
Yeah.
It dies in like 5 hours. It is really bad. And part of that is because there's a light bar that you cannot shut off. It is always on. You can dim it now, but it doesn't shut off completely. And it causes a lot of problems for me personally when I'm like playing horror games and stuff. Like I'm putting a blanket over myself so it's not reflecting on the TV because I'm playing in the dark, That really bothers me. I do like how some people tried to make the light bar cool. Like when your health is low, it'll flash. Or I played a couple games that are cute where if somebody sees you, it starts flashing, and then when you're safe, it's like a constant light again.
Yeah.
And stuff like that is neat, but they're all. Would I rather it not that one instance not exist to fix
Honestly,
the problem? Yes.
Like I would rather the light be on the bottom and all of this junk to be on top. Especially when you think about a headset, like you'd rather have it on top rather than come through the bottom.
I don't know about that.
But also, yeah, like I typically, if I'm close to the screen or on my couch, like I can always see that bar pointed directly at the screen.
And the new one is cool. It like puts a little line at the top, and you can see that, and that's a neat way to do it. But it also still projects this huge light out the back of it, which is the problem.
I definitely don't like the start and share buttons. I like that they are there and their functions, but I don't like the way they feel and that they're just really just
I feel like you could have cleaned if
there.
they didn't have that touchpad that doesn't really get used very much. You would have had a lot more real estate to spread things out a little bit, maybe make the buttons a little bigger and have those be actual buttons, you know.
Also, I mean, the thumbsticks are fine. I like it. I like these for like the Ace Combat sort of games or like even racing games and stuff like that. It feels nice to have them side by side where they're at. But as far as shooting games go,
what about the Wii U symmetrical up top?
I don't think any. I don't think any real game like made use out of it really. But for any other type of instance, I like the asymmetrical. I'm just so used to it. But also the face buttons, I've never been like the biggest fan of. Especially on the PS4, like they're just so flat compared to some of the other ones. I like the more rounded, or if they're more pronounced. Like I like to be able to feel it, sort of thing. But this one, they all just kind of. It's typically in like fighting games too, where I find myself just like, give me the fighting pad, sort of thing. Other knock against it, other than the stuff you mentioned, are like the bumpers. I'm not a big fan of the bumpers either. They're just kind of like a weird shape, and I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't like bumpers to begin with.
Yeah,
I'll
already have always
go
been weird.
I like triggers, obviously, but bumpers are just like, I don't know. I feel like that could have been, like some space could have been devoted to that or something else. And we'll get into controllers that did it better, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like just nothing's really made good use out of the touchpad. Anything like pull up the map or do this action, like that could have been a button.
Yeah, like Infamous had... You need to pull these things out of the ground, and it's like, slide the touchpad. Why? What's wrong with hitting up on the analog stick, man?
But yeah, that just decreases the size of the start and select / share button. And I feel like this PS4 home button could have been right in the center, sort of like the Xbox's button. I don't know. I kind of like it. I like the width of it, going back to dimensions and weight. It's not very heavy. I could have used some more weight there, I think, but I don't know. I've never actually liked it plugged in either.
That's true.
Like I said, I've liked some of these other ones when they're plugged in. I can stand it, but this one, it always feels like it's either popping out or something like that. I've never been able.
Definitely agree with that.
I think it's because of the slant at the bottom.
Yeah, they put a slant on the console. They put a slant on the controller.
Yeah. It's just always been weird, and I feel like I have to sit a certain way for it to work when it's plugged in, because, like you said, battery life is kind of an issue. Yeah. But they have lots of colors, lots of versions of it. A lot of the designs and stuff too, especially the God of War one and some of the other ones that have come out.
The Uncharted one's really pretty, that deep blue.
Yeah, cool designs at least, and they match the systems, and I like that. So
I'll start out with my positives of this controller. I do like that I have a headphone jack here. I really like the speaker in the controller. I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. I'm surprised that this doesn't have a speaker, honestly.
Yeah. Like you guys said, a lot of games don't utilize it as best they could, but I think that's a cool idea moving forward. I like the idea of the light. Obviously, there's some problems with the glare on the TV and things like that.
Yeah, the light is necessary for VR.
Yeah,
they couldn't really say it at the time, but VR is the reason the light's there, and that totally makes sense.
Right, but even
why can't you shut it off? That's what I don't understand.
I think that's
it just doesn't make sense to me.
I actually like the analog sticks on here. I think they feel really nice to use, no matter what I'm doing. but I don't like where they're at.
Yeah, you always complain you're hitting your thumbs together.
Yeah, so
and then and I don't believe you, but you hit that PlayStation button way more than anybody
I have
ever seen.
Vienna sausages for fingers, so it's really hard. But I actually like these. They're probably my favorite analog sticks on any controller. They just feel really nice.
There's a lot of things in the way. Yeah, like
this controller is super chaotic compared to some other ones. There's a lot of. You got a touchpad. You got 2 buttons.
It's just that touchpad, man. It eats up so much.
Yeah, it really does.
Needed enough room for your giant fingers to be able to swipe.
I don't really like how long these are. Like these handles here. I feel like I have to like hold these almost like. I don't know. I can't actually like hold the controller. I have to like hold these, and then my fingers have to reach for.
So it's a little N64ish.
It's weird.
Yeah, just the fact that it's slanted the way it is.
I don't like the touchpad. I think it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't like that these are just 2 black buttons. I have no idea what they do.
Well, that's painted over. That one's my fault.
Yeah.
I painted the controller green.
I don't like the home buttons here in the middle of these analog sticks. I fit this constantly. It's just in like a really weird spot. Like there's no good way to like reach over here. I gotta like reach past these analog sticks to touch it. The D-pad's fine. I'm not used to using, but it's nice. It works really well for a lot of games. It feels nice. The triggers are fine. They're a little small. I wish they either scooped up a little more. I feel my fingers slip off of them a lot.
Yeah,
but I do like them a lot better than the Wii controller. I don't like these buttons at all. I never have on basically any PlayStation. I just don't even feel like I'm pressing the buttons. They feel a little weird. Yeah. And I don't like the X, square, triangle, circle.
All right, man.
It really throws
It's
me
way
off.
better than the XA, BY.
I love that.
No.
It's like,
have you ever played a Switch after playing an Xbox? It's the most confusing thing in the world.
But, this
You're like, I'm going to back out of this purchase. Purchased. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't like these at all. I don't understand why they're just different shapes. I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of this controller. It's like one of my least favorites to use.
Interesting. All right. Well, hand me that exponent over there. Yeah, so I like this one way better than the 360 controller, and it's mostly because they brought everything together more. The analog sticks are closer, not so much in distance like left, right, but up and down. It is more close to being the symmetrical thing that I like. Your hands aren't actually that far offset.
Mm-hmm.
So I do enjoy that. I get what they were trying to do with the bumpers, and I don't really like what they did. They made it so that they're pressable from the triggers, which is cute. I love the noise they make, though. And
click, click, click.
Yeah, I constantly click them and stuff when I'm just sitting doing stuff, and I deleted my Banjo-Kazooie save doing it. So that was cool. The triggers are fine. I wish that they had a little more force when they shot back up. They feel a little bit like, almost like a kid's toy that got played with too much, and it's a little extended. I think these analog sticks are right in the middle as far as all 3 of them. I enjoy them. I don't have too much of a complaint about them. They have that resistance. I go back and forth on this like weird texture that the Xbox One controller has on its analog sticks. Yeah. It's got like a weird tire-y texture to it, and it's got this concave feeling that does, after a while, put little indents on my fingers and hurt a little bit. I've seen a lot of people say that having one concave and one convex is actually the best way to roll with a controller, but I don't really know. I think they say the left one should be concave because your hand never leaves it, and the right one should be convex so that you could slide to buttons really quickly. So that's interesting. I think the D-pad's fine. I think it's the worst of the D-pads, though, but it's a little too buttony for me. Like it's a little too clicky. It feels like a light switch or something like that.
It's very clicky controller.
I like these buttons as far as their placement and everything goes. I literally don't know what that symbol means. I would much rather just have a word underneath and be like menu, home or whatever I have
to start and select.
No, it's window
it's a share button,
and list or something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't even know the answer to this because I don't play Xbox much. Does this light up to tell you what player you are?
No.
Or is there no way to know what player you are? Because
no way.
This has 4 dots on the bottom, which tell you, and this is blue if you're player 1, red if you're player 2, green if you're 3.
The answer is no way.
Yeah, there's not a way.
So that's a little interesting. Obviously, they went crazy with the vibration in this controller, and I actually do think it works very well. I actually probably like it more than the vibration on the Switch controller, to be honest. Overall, yeah, I like it way better. They took a few weird steps back. The battery thing kills me. I don't know why you can't charge the thing and play with it. And the fact that its headphone slot is a proprietary weird headphone thing is really weird. They went and revised that now with the newer model, so that's not a problem.
Yep.
This is one of the original ones, so I still have that. But man, the battery thing really gets me.
Yeah. This one, as in pretty much all the Xbox controllers, even the S, its weight is like right where I want it to be.
Yeah, it's a good weight, for sure.
Feels real good, and it feels like, you know, it's not going to like fall out of my hands or anything like that while I'm playing. And this is obviously mostly a shooter console.
I feel like I could kill a person with that controller.
Yeah.
I don't want to spike
I agree with you. I like the shape of the triggers, especially how they just kind of jut out at the end. But I really want to feel that like spring, and this one just feels like it's just kind of like going back in place where it was.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't like RB or R1 L1. Like I don't like bumpers at all. But I will find myself, you know, in between rounds clicking.
You click it to the music.
The clicking,
You delete your save.
all of this stuff is just very clicky, and it feels nice.
It feels the most expensive.
Probably out of all these, the design is just the simplest. It's just like, here's your buttons, here's your start and select, even though they're not start and select, and here's your navigate, here's your, like, it's just very simple, and it's all just kind of right there. But it's also, well, is it? It's probably about as wide as the Switch controller,
Yeah,
but
I think it's a little smaller,
I find it a little crowded, because like I would normally hold it right here, and same like Todd, like I'm having fingers hit it against each other and stuff like that.
Cat's got some lanky fingers. I've never accidentally hit things. The only one that's got me is hitting B for A and A for B on this thing. Which, oh gosh.
So it is, you know, like I said, it's a little bit crowded for space, even though they did simplify. Like it just looks real clean. Not just
it's a great looking
not just the white controller, but even the standard black one, the Elite one. Like it all just looks very polished, very clean. And I do like the little textures around the end, but my problem is that these feel, I'm not going to break out a measuring device, but these feel like the smallest of the joysticks. Sure. And like, they're kind of flimsy.
I mean, I don't think they're much bigger than the Joy-Con ones.
Yeah, but like I want a little bit fatter, I guess, because, you know, fat fingers and whatever else. But like that's the nicest thing about these joysticks, and, you know, placement aside, they're just like fat enough for like every man's kind of finger to fit on it, sort of thing. Whereas these are, I feel like I'm hooking my hands a little bit more to be more precise with these. So that's my only thing, is crowded for space, and just dimensions of stuff is just, I feel like they had more room to play with on this thing. Even the D-pad seems really small, so it just feels like everything's just kind of smaller.
Yeah, they shrunk everything down, which I liked, because I thought everything was too big on the 360. But I know a lot of people.
So I think this controller does the best job of like a natural feel when you grab it. I don't know. I feel like there's not these like, you know, elongated jutting out handles. They just like, they're almost like palm rest, and then your hands just kind of like grope over the controller where they should. So I do like that. I agree with you guys. I would like the springs and the triggers, but I like the way they feel. I like the kind of swoop on here. I think it feels really comfortable in my hand. I don't know, these they don't feel great to press. But as far as like
everything on that controller is so satisfying to hit, except for those triggers.
For the triggers, yeah. But
you
actually,
really need
like,
the rumble to kick in for the triggers.
Yeah,
because
right? That is fair. There is rumble in the triggers.
Yeah. But the vibrations in this controller are amazing. I think it's the best in any controller I've felt. I'm not a big, nobody likes bumpers, but I like the bumpers the most. I think they feel really nice. I like the idea that you can hit these like, you know,
you get instant feedback with the clicking.
Yeah,
it's not just the sound and like, you know, just
but
kind of like nervous ticks or whatever.
But they have like a rise and a lower here, so they're really easy to click.
I don't know, man. They're all pretty shitty.
I like these are my favorite buttons on a controller. They're rounded. They just feel really satisfying to hit.
Those are a bit flatter than the original Xbox and
They
360 ones, but it's still nice.
It's still got that rounded notion to it instead
Yeah.
of just like a flat button, which I really like.
It's interesting. I like the flat ones better.
I like the sticks on these a lot. I know a lot of people have a problem with the indentation, but I feel like my thumb just kind of lays in the indentation on the thumbsticks.
Yeah, see, you don't use the like. I only use the tip of my thumbs to play. You like.
I put my whole thumb
You
on
use
it.
your freaking knuckle.
Yeah.
to move that
I
thing
don't know. It feels really good on my thumb.
around.
Like the curvature of my thumb, like lowers into the curvature of the stick. Feels really nice. But I could see if you were playing like this, how it would hurt your thumbs.
Yeah, that's how I play, and then, it puts little.
A lot of people
marks on
don't
my
like
thumbs,
this
and they turn
D-pad.
purple.
I don't have a problem with the D-pad, but I use it every day, so.
Especially for Xbox games. For the
I
most
probably
part.
just
Yeah,
grown
most
accustomed to this.
consoles build their game for their controller.
Yeah.
Right.
They know what they're doing. So, with that said, let's pretend we're doing the future controller.
Yeah.
For them, what do we add? How do we reinvent the controller? What is there anything? Do we try something crazy like the touchpad
I
thing?
think-
Like what do we do?
I really like LED screen. I know I kind of jokingly talked about the Dreamcast before we
You
went
sure
on air. I do like that idea, and I think we're getting to a point where battery life and stuff like that. It can have an LED screen on
Can
it, but you can also,
Can
but also you can put it to sleep and not use it, sort of thing. So more like a cell phone if you want it
I honestly
maximum.
think this is the cheapest feeling controller out of all of them.
If you want it maximum brightness or always on sort of stuff, you can turn that stuff on or put it to sleep if you want to conserve battery life, like have options and stuff like that.
It's hollow.
Put it on night mode where if you're playing at dark and it's like 10
the lights
p.m.,
aren't-
the light dims,
Yeah.
whatever, or maybe like it goes to blue light mode on the LED screen. That's what I want, something on there, especially since all of these are now starting to turn into like media centers. Well, except for Switch, hasn't caught up yet. But like, if I want to just be able to program something into there or say, just whatever, maybe even put little reminders on there or something like that. Like Fortnite, maybe if it's turning 6 p.m. and it says, a little message pops up, Fortnite dailies resetting.
Is that
in
better
5
though
minutes.
than it just popping up on the TV on the top left though? On the top right?
I think so. I'm actually kind of annoyed with how many things pop up on the screen, especially when I was playing Gintama. It was like, especially with all the broadcasting is stopped, broadcasting is on. Like I don't like all this stuff
Oh yeah,
popping
that's
up
true.
on the screen.
You entered a block screen.
Yeah.
You are now free to record again.
I like
Thanks,
notifications, and especially with like cell phones, like you just get it in that one little corner, and it's not too
Doesn't
bad.
need to ding and pop out.
But
all
yeah,
over.
but like if I want a reminder, it'd be nice for it to pop up on the controller or something where I can look away. But like the cinematics are still going or whatever, and it's not distracting. Like I'm not gonna get
It's
killed
like
or
your cell
something
phone
because of it.
Got a text message.
Yeah, and like okay, Fortnite dailies reset. I can hit the button and it'll load Fortnite.
You know, I tried that. The Wii
Yeah.
U.
Well, also that controller is this big. But I think moving forward, the weight is something that I want. I think a little bit wider. Maybe some they've messed with customization as far as okay, I want a different kind of joy. Like, why can't you have something that like slides and locks? Like, if you just want something bigger, or if you want something more compact, maybe more options to take off weight if you wanted a really light one, or add,
you
add
want
on the
more
weight.
customizable stuff.
Yeah.
just
So customization is good, but they've only been like, okay, how do I take this and swap it or something like that, or maybe put paddles on the back. But yeah, like just go a little bit harder into it. Like if you want a light on it, put a light on it, sort of thing. Like they have little sections for stuff, and you can put it's sort of like getting a PC tower, and okay, maybe I can put a fan here or a fan here, or maybe I can put a light here, sort of thing. I don't know, make it more customizable, and that would warrant an $80 price tag or $120, something like that.
Yeah, I can't believe this thing's $80. I mean, it's a nice controller. I like it a lot.
So that's where I would go with it.
It's actually a really nice controller.
I think keeping the springs and stuff feels right, and I think having, most of this stuff is fine, but just the feedback, the weight, vibration's cool, obviously, for a lot of these games. But yeah, just more customization as far as like, this is my controller sort of thing versus someone else's who might want a more like slid in, or maybe you can just literally pop the D-pad out, put it right there, and you can have.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing about the Elite. I'm upset you can't do that. You
Yeah.
can't swap the D-pad and the analog stick spot.
like just seriously something you can just make your own.
Yeah, for me, I don't know what you can add. My thing was I always wanted a touchpad on the controller. That was the future idea for me. And the PlayStation came out, and they're like, we have a touchpad. And I'm like, cool. And then no game uses it. And like I said, Killzone's the only game I've seen that like used it well, where you do a design, like there's different like design things that you do, and it does something different in the game, and it works. Most games, like I know Assassin's Creed uses the map, and you can like pinch zoom the map.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's cool, but like it's just in not a good enough spot for it to be a viable feature. So I wanted a touchpad. I retract that statement. I don't want a touchpad anymore. I think the speaker is a must-have. The light bar is hard. I almost feel like it should be a little attachment that just comes with VR.
I also kind of like the idea, like if you're gonna put a charge port, why not just make it in this like the direct back of it, sort of thing? Like, because it's always weird. Do I put it in the bottom and have to curl it up?
That's horrible.
Do I, like, I don't know. Like, there's just something that can be done about that. I think
it's fine here. At the top there.
Top is definitely better than the bottom, I would say.
Yeah. This is actually a charge port, but it's for like dock stuff.
I definitely, I like this controller. If they widened it a little bit, like Nick was saying, I think that'd be great. I like the Elite D-pad. It's like a creator. It's the best D-pad I've ever used. It feels amazing. That controller just feels really nice. It feels very, I don't know, it feels very like worth my money, like when I'm using that controller.
That controller feels like carbon fiber or something. It feels real sweet.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Things that I wish they would add are I think the speaker's awesome.
The speaker's just
I think it's a great idea. I think there should be like a microphone in these speakers. And I think it'd be cool.
Just so you don't need a mic if you know.
Right.
That'd be cool if they could cancel out the noise of you playing. Which is interesting that the camera for the PlayStation 4 cancels out the TV, even though it sits on the TV, and I have no clue how it does that.
Right.
But you don't hear the TV. Like,
just
people don't hear the TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you do that? That's magic.
Yeah, but I think that would be cool. Obviously there could be problems with that, but I think that would be a sweet idea if they could figure out a good way to do that.
Then you can talk to it. Hey, Cortana, open Netflix.
That'd be cool.
Just like those remotes the kids like.
Yep.
To me, I actually think the best, not controller, but the best control scheme, I think, and I've said this before, is a mouse and a Wii nunchuck. I think that is the best design. Like, I want the analog stick for the control, maybe some buttons, and then a mouse is obviously just the most accurate thing that you can use. But yeah, like I said, as far as a controller, I think you can combine this stuff and make something no one would complain about. Like, I really do think you could. The only issue is going to be that, like, these things, and just make them all new things. Make it 1, 2, 3, 4. We're done.
I think that would be amazing.
We've solved the problem.
If you just had 1, 2, 3, 4,
yeah, we're done.
That would be amazing.
But so real quick, what are our favorite controllers of all time, and kind of why? So I'll throw one out. I like the GameCube controller. I really do. I think it feels the best of everything. My problem with the GameCube controller is the D-pad is this big.
Yeah.
It is the world's teeniest D-pad. So, like, all the games that are on that use that controller really, really well. I love the triggers. They give you that feedback that we talked about. It goes dong when you
but it's like they curve in and, like, your finger just kind of, like, slides in the... It's
I like it.
Your finger is like the hot dog and this the bun.
Yeah, and then my problem with it is that it has a bunch of, like, weird asymmetrical stuff. Like, there's only one bumper on that thing. The buttons, for some reason, are in some weird...
Is that the one that has, like, the thing in the middle with the...
The C button?
Yeah, and it's got... Yeah, that
Oh, the second analog stick?
I hate that.
Where it feels like
It's like this. It's the offset sticks. It was the first.
But it's much smaller.
I feel like it's smaller.
It's a nub.
And it's like more in the middle.
Yeah.
Of the controller.
Feels like it's got like a pimple on the controller or
I
something.
use it.
Yeah, but as far as like the shell of that thing, I love that is the perfect like sized controller for me. I love that thing. And like I said, I think that the if you took that and like smushed together these controllers, that would be something I'd be very on board with.
I hate that controller, but I will be the first to say that when I'm playing Smash, I don't want to have any other controller but that. It just feels perfect. It feels like it was made solely for one thing.
Yeah, I played Smash with the Wii U Pro controller. I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
This feels so bad.
My favorite is probably the original Xbox Duke controller. That one was just so big.
You getting that, Duke?
I am getting, and that's a perfect question leading up to this week, because I think this is when, I think the 26th was when it was coming out. The release on the Xbox One of that one So good times for me, I guess, if I can find an Xbox game to play with it. But I liked it because it was just so freaking massive, and the weight was right, the vibration was right, no bumpers, had black and white buttons, which constantly get confused, obviously. Like you'd go to hit white, you hit black, you're like, oh, what am I doing, sort of thing. But it just felt right. And that one, it feels like if these, like you're talking about the triggers on these, how it kind of just feels like it's kind of falls back in place. It feels like someone's uppercutting when you let go of the trigger, and it's just like it just goes all the way back. And it's great. You can I'm sure if you took it off, it would look like a bed springs in the thing just because it's so freaking big. I just like it though. It was just so nice, and I feel like if that LED screen that I was talking about, if they had just taken that big circle with the X in it and just made that an LED screen, it'd be awesome. But the size was right. Aesthetically, it was pretty ugly to look at, and I'm sure the new one is too. And it's still just kind of awkward to, most people are like, hey man, pass me the controller, and then you're like, it feels like you're passing like a Christmas turkey or something over to someone. It's so big. But yeah, it's odd, but it won a special place in my heart. I don't know, it just fits perfectly. So,
what about you, Todd?
Xbox One Elite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It just it feels super comfortable. There's not a whole lot I have to complain with. They fixed a lot of the problems with this, which I already like a lot. If it's just like a little bigger, it'd be like perfect.
That carbon.
Also, it has it has like breathable edges, right?
Yes.
On it.
Yeah,
that's something else I would add. This controller doesn't breathe very well.
Yeah.
This controller breathes terribly.
Yes.
That one's okay.
Yeah, it's
But
fine.
yeah, that's definitely
that carbon fiber texture is so nice
is
to
awesome,
hold.
yeah.
So,
Controller's amazing.
any other favorites?
Not particularly. I really do like this gen of controller.
I think they're sweet. They went in
like the
right
GameCube's
direction.
the only like weird one from the past that
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, that one's good. But like I like the Super Nintendo controller.
the
a lot.
size of
I
the
like
orig-
that the Super Nintendo has two concave buttons and two convex buttons, which is actually nice because you can tell them apart really easily. But
The size and the weight of the Duke. That one's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like,
make that thing wireless. Oh boy, is
but,
that wireless?
I think it might be.
I'm not sure.
I'd love to see the batteries in that thing. It's probably a carnage. But truth be told, I don't think anything for me beats mouse and keyboard. Obviously, there's some games where you need a controller. It just feels more right. Especially, I kind of find myself like third-person like action games kind of feel controller-y to me, just because like when you're running like stuff like Uncharted, where you really feel like you want your character to move in a certain way. It's hard for WASD to kind of.
Fighting games seem awful with a mouse and keyboard.
That too.
Racing games don't
So
seem good.
to that question, like, can you create the ultimate
Nothing really
controller?
seems good.
There's like genres that you need, a big joystick.
I wouldn't want to play a MOBA with a controller.
That too, yeah.
Shooting games with
Paragon
a mouse
is
and
fine.
keyboard's way better. Paragon, exactly, it's fine, and that's it.
But yeah, there's
Paragon is
nothing beats a mouse, and as far
The
as
thing is,
pinpoint
in
accuracy, and
The thing that the mouse and keyboard, like you're talking about, is when you're directing.
yeah,
Like almost those fourth person games where in the MOBA you're not really playing the character. You're kind of directing him.
And I've
telling what to
played-
do
I've
and
played
stuff.
Street Fighter
in,
with
in like
WASD.
Paragon, you just straight control the character.
It's
You know.
not that bad.
Yeah.
It just came out with a fighting stick that is all the fighting buttons, and then your stick is WASD.
Cool.
I think it's fine. Like,
Yeah,
I don't have a
my
problem with
like
that.
I don't want to get into it too much, but like I like my vibration. I like my
Yeah, I mean,
compact.
there's
Sit
things I
down
like
on the
about both.
couch. You can be under your blanket playing your game. You don't have to do a desk. You do your taxes with the mouse and keyboard. So that just reminds me of taxes.
I don't do my taxes.
All right, let's move into the releases, but let us know your favorite controllers down below and what you would do to the PlayStation 5 controller, the Nintendo Switch 2 controller, the Xbox One 2 controller.
1, 2.
Switch.
What changes would you make?
The Xbox One.
Yeah. Releases really quick. I have no clue what this game is. Altair, Lide, and Sully, the Alchemist and the Mystery Paintings. PS4,
Was that one game?
Switch,
Yes.
PC, coming March 27th. Far Cry 5, the big one. PS4, Xbox One, PC, coming March 27th.
absolutely getting it.
MLB The Show 18, PS4, March 27th. Didn't know this was coming out so
Yeah.
soon. Kellen probably very excited.
They wanted to release it earlier to match like spring training, sort of like.
When do they normally put it out? Do you know?
I think another week. No, I think like early April or something like that. So yeah.
Also, you don't want
they wanted like opening days sort of thing.
Get into that God of War stuff. You got Spider-Man.
Oh no,
we don't want to touch that.
You want to go anywhere near that.
And then the final one was Agony, a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC game coming March 30th, but it has been delayed. That was that horror game where you're like escaping from hell.
Yeah.
It looked beautiful. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they announced like a week ago. They're like, it's delayed. That's not ever good. When you wait that close and then they do the how long is it delayed for? We don't know. Like that's
TBD.
Hopefully it's something like minor.
We'll tell you after E3.
I'm a big fan of delays where they're like, we delayed it because this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
We're hoping to finish it here, but don't quote us on that. We're working on it. We'll talk to you when we have a date. Like, that's what I like.
Or like our quality team ran into these issues and like, we're just going to save you the problem. Like that.
Yeah.
Is
like I've seen people be like, oh, we did some quests and they weren't that fun. We're going to change that. Yeah. Like that's cool. Yeah. And then there's other ones where like Gravity Rush, they like delayed that and they're like, we're doing free DLC though, so there you go. Like they try to.
Hey, we're really scared of Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Well, their problem was, hey, Last Guardian comes out the day before this game, and it's the same studio. What are we doing? Let's not do that. But all right, that's it for this episode of the Press X Podcast. Thank you for being here, Todd.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, Nick.
Far Cry 5. Woo!
Are you getting that one?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Interesting. PC?
I'm all over it. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll speak with you next time. Never borrow your games because you're getting them for PC.
Hey, you can borrow Ni no Kuni when I'm done with it.
That's cool. Thank you.